We're on.
All right, let's get going here. Welcome, everybody, to our podcast today. This is going to be a very fun, a very interesting podcast that we're going to do today. This is Rich and Michael with Mainline Executive Coaching ACT. Executive coaching, that's what we do here, and ACT. Let's get into action. Let's get things going, and cultural transformation. That's what we do. And it's going to be about both of these things today. We like to bring these things together. We are going to discuss um, more and more this MLEI, the Matone Leadership Enneagram Indicator, inventory rather.
Inventory. Yep.
And we want to talk about it in terms of different leadership styles. That's what we want to do. And we're going to start with one of them. In fact, it is number one here, and it's called the perfectionist. And perfectionists are very, very interesting people. You once you know what they are, or who they are, how they behave, you'll be able to identify them pretty quickly. And we're going to talk about them in terms of those perfectionists that are healthy, and then those that are, they're doing okay, and then the ones that are not so healthy. So we have a broad range about who are these perfectionists that are out there. So let's start here, Rich. Um, Give us a little bit of the lowdown on the perfectionist.
The perfectionist. Well, it's interesting. We were just talking about some of the traits of a perfectionist, and as a mature leader, if a mature perfectionist, they're the ones that have the self-discipline, the functions. They have very high ethical standards, responsibility, with a lot of focus on being conscientious of their surroundings, very mature levels. But on the other hand, they are, they're the ones that they're always angry. There's always something going on with a perfectionist. And because it's their view of the world. Their world has to be a perfect world all the way around them. And so a lot of times their anger is viewed as either idealism or it's zeal, but in reality, it's their anger. And a lot of even perfectionists don't realize that until, it starts to move even further towards the immature side.
Yeah, there's something about they are a kind of moralist personality. That they know the right thing to do. They
Yep.
know the right ways to go about doing things. Some professions kind of lend themselves to being this perfectionist moralist.
Yep.
Sometimes people in the law kind of go in that. They're like, you got to get all right, got to just do this exactly perfectly. And
Right.
the anger thing is kind of interesting because there is this frustration between the world that they see and the world that
Yep.
they think they should have. In terms of
Exactly.
this ideal world, they want everything to be perfect. They want to be perfect. They want to do everything just exactly right, and then they carry that expectation over to other people. So they don't always show their anger. What they do oftentimes is they suppress their anger,
Right.
and because of this, I've got part of their whole thing is I have to be a good person. They really believe I have to be a good person, and they will strive to be a good person because they have this feeling as if I make bad choices, if I have bad behavior, that contaminates me as this person who's perfect, and then I can't be as
Right.
perfect, and now I got this conflict because I can't live up to my own ideals, but I can't admit that either. And so there's this kind of convoluted anger. Plus, then it comes out at other people. They start projecting it out.
Right.
So one of
Well,
the
in different ways, they're the ones that like to avoid conflict. They really avoid conflict. So when they project it, it's not so much, as far as conflict goes, but it's projected in other ways.
they're passive aggressives.
Yes.
That's they're like, well, why do you think that would be a good decision? Don't you think it'd be better if we did this? Well, why would you want to cause so many problems? Why
Right.
are you so selfish? Why
Right.
can't you think it's the whole thing that drives you freaking nuts? It really does. And so they come across kind of stodgy. They come across kind of stiff. They're interesting because you can
Mhm.
start listening to them, the way they talk, the way they move. And again, it can be good, it can be bad, that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
there's and I'll tell you one thing about it. If you are working with or working for a perfectionist who's really angry, I mean, but they don't necessarily show it, you just feel the tension around them. you will see they have, because of what they do, they suppress their anger, and they will have this pallor, this white pallor to their skin. Sometimes it even looks waxy because they've held it in so long, so tight. They're just wound like, a clock ready to bust. But there's this, so there's some interesting things about it. Conversely, the best people, some of the best people around, are the moralists. When they live a principled life, when
Yep.
they're honest, when they are fair, when they see, that everybody has a choice about things, and they live by their own integrity. They don't force their values or their principles on other people. They are some of the most inspiring people that you could ever be around. They just seem like, this person is just really good.
Yeah. But inside they're seething.
Well, no, the ones that are healthy aren't. They're not seething. They learn how to relax with themselves. They,
Yeah.
they learn how to back off. They really have these kind of outrageous, impossible demands
Right.
on themselves that they've learned how to reconcile. That, though, that's just not healthy to be so wound up and so tied up and so anxious and so angry. They learn how to reconcile that so that they can, because if it is that anger that's inside, it's really being driven by something here. That, let's talk about this, the thing that really gets them wound up here, and this fear of their basic fear. Their basic fear is that of becoming corrupt or evil or defective. I mean, what do you have it on yours? What is their basic?
They're afraid of being proven wrong.
Yeah, being proven wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, that can, if you feel like you have to be right all the time, and who is? Let's be honest,
Right.
who is? That's going to be a constant fear. Like, anytime it could be proven wrong, right?
Yep. Yep.
Okay. So what is their basic motivation?
Basic motivation is to be right, to improve the world, to control everything so there won't be any mistakes, and to condemn others who don't live up to their ideals.
Can you imagine, Rich, getting up every morning and reading those words as your affirmation and as your purpose and direction for the day?
I'm going to condemn anybody who doesn't live up to my standards.
What a formula for misery.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. Here's the thing: if you're working with a perfectionist on a team, and really a good team works, and they all understand that we're going to work and come up with a consensus.
Mhm.
Consensus on what we're going to do. But the problem is with perfectionists, they can't make a decision until they're 100% convinced they're right. And so they're the ones that you talk about analysis paralysis. They'll look at the data and they'll look at the data and they'll look at the data and look at it a little bit more, and and until they know they're exactly 100% right, they can't make a decision.
And it's even
so
worse
that's
than
the
that.
problem.
It's worse than that. And I'll tell you why it's worse than that. It's not only the dilemma of the data and what the data is saying. There's not only that, Rich, it's the dilemma of the moral decision. So you mix the data with the moral decision of what is good or what is the goodest thing that they can do. They get very wrapped up in that. So they really do. They tie themselves up in knots about it, because to make a bad decision, a poor decision, they see it as, that makes me a bad person or less good than I want to be. And so, I mean, they just got themselves painted in corners all over the place. Damned if I do and damned if I don't. Just can't win. So there's that anger, Rich.
Right. It is. Yep. Yeah, it's they can't make that decision unless. And here's the thing: is that's what they feel, that decision, that I'm a very reasonable, very fair person,
As they see it.
as they see it.
They see it. Now,
Yeah.
see, it's interesting here. They also say this, my greatest irritation. I'm right most of the time. And you know what? Oftentimes they are, because they are smart people.
They are, and they really dive into the data.
It really upsets me when people don't listen to me. If they listened to me, things would have worked out better.
Yep.
Can you imagine carrying that weight around it? See, and there's a problem. Part of the problem is they are so connected to, as they see it, their principles and their values, they discount individuality, that people see things differently. People don't always agree. People have their own life experiences, their own values, their own principles, out of which their own personalities. And
Right.
so it's this, they can be kind of come this oppressive thing of do it my way, do it my way, do it my way, or I'm just going to shame you and guilt you into compliance. I mean, we hear some of that stuff going on now. Why don't you do that? Why are you so selfish? Why can't you think of other people? What is wrong with you? You know, that whole kind of moral tone of I'm so right and you're so wrong and I'm morally superior and you're lucky that you're even here, that I'm allowing you. So it's a complicated thing. How does a good person genuinely be really mature and have integrity, real genuine integrity, and at the same time respect the rights that others have? That is a hard thing for this perfectionist personality. It's really difficult. And it calls for, again, a lot of maturity to want to do the right thing versus the fear of doing the wrong thing. Therein lies the distinction. And it's a huge distinction because in wanting to do the right thing, you recognize you're not always going to be right. Isn't that true?
Right. Oh, absolutely.
So if we realize that we're going to screw up, if we're perfectionists, there's going to be times we're going to screw up, back off, give yourself a break, give yourself a breather, allow yourself to be human because you're a human being and you're going to make mistakes, and stop. And I'm telling you, they do this and it's sad. Stop insisting that you always get everything right and that you're always what? Perfect. You're driving yourself freaking nuts.
Right. Instead of telling yourself I must or I should, maybe tell yourself it would be nice to.
There you go.
Yeah.
And if you're coming out of that, Rich, what kind of culture are you creating? If you're that kind of wacky, kind of perfectionist person, how are you going to affect people around you?
Depends on if you're a mature perfectionist or not. You might really drive people to really work towards a better environment, a stronger culture of say if it's a culture of quality. I can see a lot of perfectionists being quality people because matter of fact, the more I think about it, I know some of them like that. But
you see people, yeah, you're right. You're right.
they're very rigid. They have to follow a set
Yeah.
standard. If they have too many decisions, too many alternatives, that's not good. But if you have a set standard, like these shall statements like the FDA or ISO or something like that, where it's very rigid. I shall do, you shall do have something that talks about this in your organization. And once you got those in place, that's just how it is.
Saturday Night Live, the church lady.
Yeah.
There you go. There's that person that's kind of wigged out over here, a little bit over there. Right. And so what you really do with your demands on yourself, which are unreasonable, you perfectionist leaders, they're unreasonable. And if you don't start seeing them logically and reasonably, you will bring those kind of demands to the culture. And what you actually do is create a culture, and it's kind of weird because the way, again, it goes back to there's a lot of passive aggressive behavior because they can't come out and just say it. That would not be nice. They're really nice people, right? They're good people. They're nice people. So they can't say it. So they kind of say it indirectly, and everybody feels bad and feels guilty and kind of, I'm gonna do that now, that kind of crap. And so you get in there and you're gonna make people in your culture unhappy. There's no other way to say it. They're gonna feel controlled, even though you're not controlling them. They're gonna feel controlled by implication. They're going to feel oppressed. They're going to feel like they can't do anything wrong. They're not going to be creative. They're not going to be communicative. It really is a shutdown of the positive, culture. It really, really, and see, the irony of that is that the perfectionist intends to have a great culture, or better yet, a good culture, but they actually get the exact opposite if they're coming out of their own fears and doubts and worries. That's the sad thing about it.
Yeah. So who are some examples of perfectionists?
Well, we go back.
Sense.
I mean, you'll be surprised some of these.
Yeah.
Jerry Seinfeld, funny guy, funny guy, but he's always got these kind of moral lessons he's laying out there for us.
Yeah.
Mary Poppins. I mean, she was a very positive influence in the story about
Yeah.
how to be clean, clean things up, be responsible. She was a little bit stiff, but she
Yeah.
was really good at what it is she did. Surprisingly, Harrison Ford. Who would have known? You would think somebody like
Yeah.
obviously Mandela, he would be. He's one of those kind of guys. Giuliani is one of those kind of guys. Al Gore is Jeanne d'Arc of France. I mean, there's a lot of people out there. And again, it's not so much whether you are that; it's a matter of whether or not you're healthy, and you're really your dreams, your aspirations, your values, they all lift you up to become a better person. And the way that you'll know whether or not you're on the track of really being inspiring and helpful and really being a person that models things is you're relaxed. You're not wound
Yeah.
up like a clock. You can
Right.
relax. If you're tight and your muscles are tight and your brain's going like this all the time and you're always looking for what's wrong or what people are doing to screw up, it's a pretty good indicator that your anxiety,
Yeah.
AKA your immaturity, is driving you rather than the other inspiring you. That'd be the thing. So
Yeah.
if you are a perfectionist, what can we tell them? What can we tell them in the last couple of minutes here? We got just like a minute or two. What can we tell them to do to start helping out themselves?
Learn to intervene in the process when you start to feel that anger coming on. Learn, and we can help do that. There's a path. There's paths that they can take, paths for development. You know, uh, develop other parts of those traits that are within us. Learning which of those traits to develop. And it's interesting. There's 9 specific traits we're gonna talk about, but every one of these traits is in every single one of us. It just some manifests more than another.
Yeah.
And so, it's learning to tap into something different.
Yeah. And it is, I'm going to tell you, if you're a perfectionist, relax, learn how to laugh more, learn how to just let it go.
Yeah.
Not only for everybody else, but learn how to forgive yourself. Just let it go. Realize you're not perfect, that you're a human being, and go and find some joy in your life rather than thinking it's all up to you to change the whole freaking world so that it's going to be better. When in
Yep.
fact, what you end up doing is you make it worse, sad to say, because that's not your intent.
Right.
So, perfectionist, you got great hope because you're such a great person, such a good person with such good intentions. Just make sure that what you're doing here is in a way that is supportive of other people being themselves as
Yeah.
you work within your organization to get great things done, because you can do that. You just got to give people some room as well as yourself. That's it. Okay. I think we're done here, Rich.
I think so too. So just in final words, a perfectionist, different's not bad. It's just different. Maybe remember that. So, and once again, thank you so much for joining us today on Mainline Executive Coaching ACT, and reach out to us. We would be more than happy to work with you and talk with you and help you down that path to becoming a successful leader. Mainline Leaders, I'm sorry, it's Mainline Leaders Act, ILEC.com. That's where you can find us.
Yeah,
And
maybe we'll make you laugh, get you to relax a little bit.
just relax. Thanks again. Take care. We'll